N'Keal Harry was an absolute steal at 32. What are you guys talking about? Forget Tom Brady's passing numbers. He's the GOAT because he was the best punter in the NFL. I take Johnny Hekker over Patrick Mahomes to be my quarterback any day.
Welcome to the No Punt Intended Sportscast with your host, Parody 07.
Welcome back to the No Punt Intended Sportscast. I'm your host, Guy, along with, as always, the Dawgs. And I thought the NFL script writers couldn't write it up any better than they did last week, but they kind of ran out of material and went back to the way things usually go. You know, New England beating teams, the 49ers losing to the Vikings, the Dolphins losing. I mean, it's like the timeline is being reset. It's a wonderful thing for somebody like me who's a diehard New England Patriots fan. However, we all know that we're in the same timeline. Thanos has not snapped away, is still snapped away all of New England's wins for the rest of the season. But we'll have to talk about that in a little bit. But an interesting week, say the less. There's like I said, the 49ers lost. They're on a losing streak now. Went from undefeated to now losing 2 in a row. Crazy. And both to teams that were not considered top tier teams. It's not like they lost to the Eagles or the Dolphins or something, or the Chiefs, obviously. Yep. They lost to some teams that just happened to have their number that day, or at least paid the refs enough to have their number. The other thing that was interesting this week is a lot of losing teams did not lose. The Giants, Pats, the Browns, which are quietly 4-2, by the way, after that win.
Yeah. They have a better record than the Bills right now.
That's crazy, isn't it? So, I mean, a lot of bad teams, the person who led them to this win was bad, but the Bears are not known as a good team, and they won this week too. Yeah. So that's a lot of interesting stuff going on and could potentially shake up the rest of the NFL if this sort of script writing continues. So I don't know who thought it was a good idea to throw all the bad teams a bone all in one week, but we appreciate you. We appreciate you, whoever paid the refs and whoever pays the script writers. Maybe the refs are the script writers. I never thought about that. I never thought about
script writing.
Maybe. But we're going to do things a little differently this week. We've got one of us, obviously, in LB doesn't have very much to talk about his team because they didn't play this week. They had a bye. But, man, if any of you were at all paying attention to anything that we've said over the past, 3 or 4 weeks, or if you looked into our bold predictions for the season, you would have a lot of eyebrow raising after this week. And each of us has some things that we'd like to talk about. And we're going, instead of doing the good, the bad, and the coaching, we're going to talk about checking the receipts once again, like we did last week, but spend a little bit more time on each thing, talking about kind of how we got here and how we came up with these sort of stuff and that sort of thing. So without further ado, LB, who I think has had the best receipt of the week, his receipt has got the most returns on it. I'll tell you that much right now. So without further ado, LB, talk about your guy Tyson Bagent. I promise you, we are the only podcast, the only one that has had his name come up prior to last week. And I tell you what, we did something, boys. So congratulations to LB, but take your victory lap, my man.
Yeah, it's nice to be right, fellas. I told you so. I told everyone. I've been saying it. I'm going to continue to say it. So it's nice to get that validation because, Carolina doesn't give me because they're trash. So again, I picked these random tidbits that I find, and they just happen to come true. Like my man Tyson Bagent starting and winning his first NFL game for the Chicago Bears out of undrafted rookie Division II Shepherd University. Like I said in this offseason shows leading up to draft, I said I thought he should have gone in the 6th and 7th round. Unfortunately for him, he didn't, but he got picked up in free agency. So one team, the Bears, actually made a good decision for once signing the guy. The other 31 teams are terrible and letting him go and slip through the cracks because this guy is a starter in the NFL. He should be the Bears starting quarterback going forward until he loses that job because of poor play. But the man is going to continue to ball out. I told y'all this last week. I told y'all this in September when my bold prediction. So we've got the audio, we've got the clips. This is not some new wave that we're just now hopping on because he won. We've been saying this, we've known this, and it's just nice to get that out there and be proved right. It gives me some validation in terms of how I can evaluate players and how I see the game and stuff like that. So I think that's really cool, and I'm super happy for the guy. Obviously, he beat all the odds, and I think he's going to continue to do so. And basically everything I said about the kids come true, and it's now been amplified to the national stage. So super happy for him. Like I said, I think he should be the guy going until he either gives the job back up because of playing poorly, but I don't anticipate that. I think he's going to continue to seize his opportunities like he did last week, doing everything asked of him. He did what he had to do. He did his job, man. He got a team to win. He played one game, got one win. Justin Fields has played 5 games before that and had one win. So, is there a quarterback controversy in Chicago? Perhaps. I know who I'm going with, and guess what? It's not number one. It's not Justin Fields. Sorry about it. It's my man Tyson Bagent. So good for him, bro. I'm super happy for him. Look for the Bears to maybe get on a little run here, a little jolt of energy, little switch up at the QB position. The dude's got some swag. He can play. I think he plays the position very well at a high level, especially for a guy coming out of Division II, laying his first start. I mean, he went 21 of 29, 162 yards and a touchdown. What more can you ask for a undrafted rookie in his first start? And most importantly, the win. So my receipt's pretty long, fellas, and it's going to continue to get longer, much like those CVS receipts. So, hey, check out the pod. Continue to come back, and you might find some more tidbits. I know the fellas here have got some other things that they've accurately predicted. So, hey, the guys know what we're talking about. We've been trying to tell everybody, So, well, only time will tell, and it continues to prove us right. So, I'm happy for everybody.
Heck yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't have to be like you taking out a bunch of stats or anything like that. But can you give me a few things about Mr. Bagent that you think he did really well that added to his ability to actually win that game on Sunday?
Yeah, I think it was certainly a team effort. Dante Foreman went crazy in I think it was his first game back actually this year. So obviously when you have a running game like that helps the quarterback out. But no, they're playing ahead of the sticks. He's able to avoid pressure, keep his eyes downfield, deliver the ball, off platform, outside the pocket, make accurate throws, make good decisions. Don't force balls downfield like he did last week, where he threw a pick against the Vikings. Really, just being able to check the ball down, get the ball to your playmakers, and just do what's asked of you. Don't let the moment get too big for you. I don't think he did that at all. I think he did everything very well, and I think his stats reflect that. He's just been able to just be cool, calm, and collected. Play with a level head, stay ahead of the sticks, and don't try to force the ball. Don't try to go out there and act like you have to be this, second coming of Cam Newton athletically, doing all these crazy things that you're not normally doing. I don't think he did that. I think he did exactly what his skill set allows him to do, which is process information very quickly, make good, accurate throws on the run, in the pocket, hang tough, stuff like that. Just when I see the guy play, just like Brock Purdy, like they play the position the way it's intended to be played. Like they go through their reads, they're staying ahead of the sticks, they're delivering the ball accurately to their playmakers. Just the little details that kind of get overlooked with some of these guys. Like there's a way to play the position, especially at that high level. In the NFL, it doesn't get any better than that. So to be able to come in and do that with basically a week's notice that you're that guy, I think it's just a testament to his mental state and the ability to just process things and compartmentalize things and just go out there and execute. At the end of the day, that's what he did. He had 21 of 29 passing. That's execution. Obviously, he's not lighting up the stat sheet throwing for 400 yards, but again, that's not asked of him. You're doing exactly what's asked of you and helping your team, drive down the field, make good throws, and just operate within the system. It's like you hear these guys in the NFL call certain quarterbacks, system guys. Well, since when is doing what you're coached to do wrong? Why is that a bad thing? Like, oh, Brock Purdy, he's just a system guy. Well, why does he get slighted for having some of the best weapons around him? Getting in the ball accurately, on time, throwing with anticipation, operating within that system. Like, why is that a bad thing? Why is doing what you're coached to do and executing the game plan at the highest level a bad thing? I don't understand that. I've never understood that slight and how that's like seen as a negative thing. Not everybody's a Cam Newton. Not everybody's Patrick Mahomes. Where you can really get creative and make things happen because you're the most talented guy out in the field. Like I've never understood that. And I think what Tyson did was just exactly what he was asked to do. And I think he looked very cool, calm, and collected, which is, again, just a testament to him. And like he mentioned in the press conference the week before, like he's beating all the odds. He's just going to go out there and play loose, which is super important, so you're not forcing the issue. You're not, trying to create plays when they're not there. Just do what you're coached to do, man. And when you do that, good things happen. Evidenced by the 30-12 win. That's awesome.
Absolutely. And nobody can tell us that we're a negative show. Okay. We could have come on here and said, you know what? We don't like the Bears, clearly, as evidenced by the way our pod is just generally gone. We could be upset that the Bears won. And LB could be particularly upset that this offense that just put up 30 points could have been potentially the Panthers offense this year, considering Dante Foreman and DJ Moore being on that team. And who I mean, can you imagine Tyson Bagent being at the helm over there in Carolina right now? He's a free agent. He had every opportunity to be a Panther, and it just didn't work out that way. Yeah. But the cards are what they are, and he was dealt the hand that he was dealt, and he did what he had to do to win. And congratulations, he did what Mac Jones and the Patriots could not do, beat Brian Hoyer. So congratulations to Tyson Bagent.
Hey, nor could Jordan Love, former first round pick. The guy had like a right around 50% completion, couple picks, and like less than 100 yards passing and a loss. And we're not saying that the Green Bay Packers are Super Bowl contenders, but they're certainly better offensively and holistically than the Chicago Bears are going into each of those games.
I would have to agree with that.
And expectation wise, like as a first round guy sitting behind Rodgers for 2 years, and to go out and kind of dump the bed, and look like crap compared to this undrafted rookie out of a D2 school, which, by the way, doesn't matter. If you can ball, you can ball.
Fact.
Whatever school you go to, doesn't matter. They'll find you, man, if you can ball. So, if there's any guys out there who aren't, D1 guys or whatever, just put your head down and work. The work will speak for itself. The cream always rises to the top. If you can ball, you can ball. This guy can ball. I think all Chicago is, super excited about the potential in that guy. And Chicago looked like a competent NFL team. They didn't look bad. And maybe there's something to that. Maybe they stick with a hot hand and Tyson and going forward. Who knows? We'll have to see. But if that does happen, I would not be surprised.
I hear you. Absolutely. So we're going for a Man of Steel to some talk of batted balls.
Yep. So, like, my bold prediction, which everyone made fun of me, everyone was like, oh, that's so strange, that's so wacky of a prediction to make, was that the Kansas City Chiefs were going to lead the league in batted passes. Now, what was fascinating is that this week when the Chiefs played the Los Angeles Chargers, Tony Romo mentioned that the Chiefs are leading the league in batted passes. Matt Hasselbeck, in a post-game show, mentioned that the Chiefs lead the league in batted passes. People are talking about how good this team is at, batting passes around, dumping, bumping, dumping, touching those footballs on defense.
Jeez.
Like, I don't know if I've ever heard commentators talk about batted passes that much, but they are about the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, here's the one thing I will mention. This is the difficulty with my prediction. The difficulty is, what is a batted pass? The problem with batted passes is that it's not a very defined statistic, let's say. The closest thing you have to batted passes being tracked is passes defended.
Sure.
Right? Those are is the closest you have for what NFL.com or ESPN tracks. But those include interceptions. It's any play that a defender does to break up a pass. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot broader than just a batted pass of what we think about. But somehow Tony Romo, Matt Hasselbeck, I guess both have the statistics on batted passes. It's very funny to see that my prediction that was kind of, shot out of nowhere is actually manifesting to be true. So anyways, I'm proud of this team. And they had quite a few against Justin Herbert, and I think it will continue throughout the season.
Heck yeah. The big thing for me with that is not only is that evidence of, obviously, that includes passes batted at the line of scrimmage, which doesn't go to, I don't think a pass defended would go to a defensive lineman for that. I don't know. Maybe they will. I think
sometimes, but it's weird.
Yeah. So yeah, they're not in coverage. So that's the tough thing. Obviously, if there's a zone blitz and they have the one of the edge guys drop out or something like that into a shallow flat zone or something, maybe that turns into a pass defense depending on what happens. But Chris Jones has however many batted balls on the season, and he's just one of those things where it's it's not a pass defense, it's a batted ball, because he's just he's just an animal like that. But it also is a testament to your faith in this Chiefs defense, which I think has become the driving force for your team's success this season. I think if your defense does not play as well as it has, your team's record looks a lot different, I think.
Oh yeah.
But
we're the only team to not allow more than 20 or more than 21 points all season. And you could even make the argument that the defense hasn't allowed more than 20 points in a season, because against the Lions in the very first game, 7 points of the 21 points the Lions did score was off of a pick six.
Right.
But in any case, just generally, we're the only team to not allow more than 21 points. And we've only allowed 21 points or more than 21 points once. So we've been keeping teams very low scoring. And our offense looked a lot better. 31 points. That's great. If we can get both sides of the football moving consistently, going in to week 9 and 11, where we play the Dolphins and the Eagles. That'll be very helpful.
For sure.
But our defense has been doing amazing, and we've got bad news that Nick Bolton looks like he's going to be out for a month or two.
Oh, that's a shame.
But he was out for a few weeks earlier this year, and we were able to pick up the slack because we're pretty deep at linebacker because we have Drew Tranquil. He fills in for Nick Bolton, so he's been doing pretty well. And then Charles Armamenu, his name's very hard for me to pronounce, just came back from suspension, and he had a sack in his first game. So he looks like he's going to be a immediate impact player. So yeah, this defense doesn't seem like it's going to slow down. And we were able to stop a pretty good offense in the Chargers. So
heck yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy with them.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations, Hound, on that wonderful prediction that has up to this point been validated. Now, to be completely fair, what your exact prediction was that you all would break the record.
Yeah, we would break the record.
But leading the NFL in that category would obviously be an excellent start to getting that way. And I tell you what, we'll give you half a point if it happens to be you lead the league in that category, but just don't happen to break the record.
Yep.
And speaking about the record or the receipt or however you want to put it, media, let me tell you, y'all need to listen to our podcast. Just straight up.
Facts.
You all need to listen to our podcast. I am appalled at the audacity of some of the people that are paid very well to analyze, especially quarterbacks. Darren Arlovsky, I'm talking to you. Shout out, but not the one that you're looking for. He said this week, yeah, we've been too hard on Mac Jones. And he said something along the lines of, I haven't been that hard on Mac Jones, unlike setting himself apart. When he himself was spearheading the anti-Mac Jones brigade the last couple of weeks. I have said when Mac plays well, I admit that he plays well. When he has not played well, I admit that he has not played well. He did not play well against Dallas, and he definitely did not play well against the Saints. That's just valid fact. And I acknowledge that in those weeks. Prior to that, when some people were giving Mac some flack, I said that Mac wasn't the problem. Maybe he wasn't the solution in some of those situations, but he definitely wasn't the problem. He was part of the problem with those really lopsided losses. But this week, man, that dog came to play. He took down the big bad Bills, and Josh Allen, who is so funny. I had somebody that's a friend of mine hit me up and just out of completely unprompted say Josh Allen is the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. And I've been saying that to him for years. So once again, the pod is on the pulse of the NFL. And we are, I would say it's parasocial and one-sided, but I would say we're relatively good friends with Matt Nagy here on this show.
Yeah.
But we also have a handful, or at least I do, have an enemy here. And it's so funny because the enemy actually lives on my favorite sports talk show on the planet. Mr. Boston Connor of the Pat McAfee Show. We have issues.
Y'all got beef, huh?
I don't know. It's definitely one-sided. But I get all excited when my favorite show, sports talk show, starts talking about my favorite team, and they have somebody who's like the quote unquote, the stereotypical New England fan on the, and they obviously give him the floor for some of that stuff. And I tell you, he says some of the most ignorant stuff and it blows my mind. It's like he doesn't even watch the team, or he watches just the highlights, or he just says whatever Boston media says. In Boston media, again, I went on a rant last time and I don't need to get into it, but this is now national media that I'm taking issue with, because all national media say, oh, we were too hard on Mac Jones, too hard on Mac Jones. Yes, you were, but I'm still not forgiving you for jumping on the anti-Mac Jones train in week 2 or week 3. whatever, it's just like the last handful of weeks. Yeah, he's not played well. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. But there's a lot of people saying this is the first game he played well. Oh, really? Last I checked, the Eagles, like, especially in the last 20 minutes of the game, curb stomped the Dolphins, and Mac Jones almost beat him in a quarter and a half. And the Dolphins are a good team, and Mac almost beat the Eagles by himself in, I'd say, 2.5 quarters. I don't understand what this narrative is that he is just not good. I don't understand. I understand, and I've said multiple times that he's a type of player that is only as good as the coaching around him and the players surrounding him. And, we talked about Brock Purdy and Tua being the same kind of players and just having much better situations. And guess what? People are saying what I said, 2 weeks ago. And I am sick and tired of not getting validation on this because nobody listens to our pod. I'm just so sick and tired of people telling me, well, Mac Jones isn't the answer and this, that, and the other. And honestly, you want to know my personal opinion? I have no clue if Mac Jones is the answer. We have not given him the opportunity to make that give us reason to. I tell you what, he gave us a really good reason this week because this was what I've wanted from Mac all season. I wanted that signature game where he goes off. He doesn't have to play like lights out. He doesn't have to put up 400 yards or anything like that. I'm just looking for a solid game and against a good team. And he's put in a position where he has to go win the game for him, and they win because of him. And I think he provided that this week. I really do. I think his performance this week was the reason they won. Because Kendrick Bourne put the ball on the ground. The defense still gave up 23 points, I think it was. Or 24, something like that. I mean, over 20 points. Which in today's NFL isn't the end of the world, but yeah, 25 points, which we haven't scored more than 25 points as an offense since week 14 of last year against the Arizona Cardinals, who were actually worse at the end of last year than they are now. So the way you're checking my receipt is if you're going to be on the Mac train, be consistent on whichever version of the train, the anti-Mac train, the pro-Mac train, the objective Mac train, which is the one I try to be on, even though I am pro-Mac. I would appreciate if national media would stay consistent. And I understand they got to be, we throw flowers at this guy and we throw this guy in the dungeon, and then the very next week they flip-flop and they get views both ways, and it's fine, whatever. But as much as what I said about Boston Connor and being an issue, one thing he did say that I have some agreement with is he was actually upset that New England won this week, which is kind of crazy to hear that a fan of a team is upset that their team won in week 6 or 7 or whatever it was this week. I think it was week 7.
Yeah.
And his reason is he wants us to go 1-16 so that we get the best possible pick. I tell you what, I watched the Ohio State Penn State game, and the best player on the field by far was Maserati Marvin over there. I tell you what, I want him in blue, silver, and red. That man is a dog. And you put him next to Pop Douglas, man, what a duo that could be. But,
Facts.
Man, if we can't figure out whether this Mac Jones guy is our guy, they might have to use it on a Drake May or a Michael Penix Jr. or something like that and kind of restart the process. Now, there's some other good receivers. There's a dog over in Florida State and that sort of thing. But Marvin Harrison Jr. is just different. Holy cow. And I'd love for him to be in New England. So, Mac Jones, this is your opportunity. You started building blocks. Now, continue to build your repertoire and make it impossible for New England to get rid of you. That's your job, is to make it at least very difficult for you to be gotten rid of or replaced. And if you can do that with Bill O'Brien, I think, knows how to draft receivers, a la DeAndre Hopkins, a la Will Fuller Jr. or Sr., whatever his last name was, and a handful of guys like that. If you do that, I really feel like our drafting department will have a hard time not picking Marvin Harrison. But at the same time, we need to lose a lot of games to get that guy. So it is a weird place to be. If we're going to start rattling off some wins, we better rattle enough to push for the playoffs. And if we're not going to, just play well, but lose by a little bit. I'm okay with losing the next 10 games with, by one score. That's fine. If the offense looks good and the defense just happens to be outmatched a handful of weeks, that's fine. But, if we're going to win, let's win a bunch. But if we're not going to win, let's not win it all. But it's really tough. These guys have pride. These guys, especially in New England, some of them are really used to winning. So, and that was definitely the vibe after the game. I watched some press conferences and some inside the locker room stuff, and the vibe was there was a lot of juice, I'll tell you that much. So I think they believe that they can beat Miami next week. I mean, I don't, but they have every opportunity to, especially if Miami's offensive line stays as unhealthy as it ended with the Eagles game with. But that's my check the receipts. I was kind of all over the place, but again, I've stayed consistent on Mac, and I don't think there's another sports media that has been as forgiving when he's deserved to be forgiven and has been as tempered when he deserves to be tempered, because this is by far the best game he's played in a while, and I won't deny that. But it's not like he's played bad all season, and it's not like he's played well all season. So I give him an A-. The only thing I wish was different is that his outlets weren't behind the line of scrimmage, but that was the game plan. And even though that portion of it didn't work, it might have set up other things that I'm not able to look at because I don't have the all 22. So with that's check the receipts for this week. I really appreciate you guys tempering us and tolerating us take our victory laps. But instead of doing the good, bad, and the coaching, somebody made a suggestion that we should do a sort of 1 minute recap of the state of our teams. So all we're gonna do is put 60 seconds on the clock, and LB, you go ahead and start and just give us the state of the Carolina Panthers in 60 seconds.
Yeah, so first things first, we're coming off a bye week, week 7. Going into that bye week, we were 0-6. So our next game, week 8, is against the Houston Texans, the CJ Stroud versus Bryce Young showdown. So a couple updates is that Thomas Brown was going to be the play caller for Carolina going forward. Frank Reich has stepped down. So we'll be interested to see how that shakes out in terms of offensive productivity. Some more injury bugs have plagued the Panthers. Jeremy Chin has a quad injury, could be out for up to 6 weeks. Very not ideal. Good news is we may be getting J.C. Horn off of IR, as well as a couple of O-linemen, which would be great. And then some trade talks. Brian Burns, Jeremy Chin, and then Dante Jackson are like the 3 main guys that are up for trade talks. However, I don't think any of those are going to happen, which would be great. I don't advocate for them to be traded. So see how this looks after week 8. But yeah, that's about it, guys.
Good job. Hound, 1 minute update on the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's hear it.
So the Chiefs played their division rival, the Los Angeles Chargers, and as with most division games, the Chiefs beat the Chargers. The Chiefs had their most complete game of the season. The defense held a top 10 offense in the Chargers to only 17 points and completely shutting out the Chargers in the second half of the game. And they sacked Justin Herbert 5 times. And then Mahomes on offense threw for over 400 yards. First time he's done it this season. And Kelsey had over 170 receiving yards. And a lot of people are saying that's because Taylor Swift was in the house again. So we'll see if that continues. Our rookie wide receiver, Rashee Rice, is solidifying himself as the number 2 target in the passing game. And we're off to another division game with the Broncos this upcoming week.
And Taylor Swift and the Mahomes' wife have a handshake now, so that's great.
Yes, they have a new handshake thing that they're doing. So
New England Patriots in a minute. Yeah, New England is fresh off a win against a division rival in the Buffalo Bills. The feeling around the team is that they feel confident to go into Miami and win a game. I don't see it happening, but I'm glad that they have the mojo and the want to. As far as trade talks go and where I think this team needs to go it feels like they're going to get rid of Josh Uche, which is on a contract year anyways, and we weren't going to pay him anyway, so might as well get a little bit of kickback for that, which would be great. And I don't want to hear about, what are they called? The extra picks that you get. The
compensation.
Yeah, the compensatory picks. Yes.
Yep.
I don't want to hear about the compensatory picks. I biffed it, but whatever. So what else do we need to talk about? I'm such a bot.
Dogs of the week.
Dogs of the week, yeah. And then prediction time. All right.
Oh yeah, I forgot about predictions.
Of course, we gotta predict.
Yeah, I forgot.
We gotta predict. I took.
We're on a heater, man. We're predicting things left and right.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And
I get it.
And I lost this week. I lost this week. And
I think you're okay with that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm okay with that. Like I said, I'm kind of in between. If we beat the Raiders last week, I'd be much more gung-ho on this season. But because we didn't, 2-5 is so tough to come from. So
See, I'm happy that the Patriots beat the Bills.
I know. Well, I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are. But it's that time. We obviously did things a little differently today, but that's okay. I think a little breath of fresh air was in order anyways. It's that time again, the much anticipated dogs of the week. And I think some of those dogs' names have already crossed our lips to this point. But we're going to start with LB. LB, give me your dog of the week. I have an idea who it is.
Oh, y'all already know, baby. I'm going with my man Tyson Bagent.
Let's go.
Undrafted rookie, Division II, Shepherd University, represent going 21, 29. 162 yards, a touchdown, and most importantly, a win in your first career start. So good job for you, young man. Hopefully you continue to be that QB1 in Chicago. I know I'm pulling for that. I have nothing to pull for this year in terms of my own team, so it's nice to be able to pull for specific players, especially since we went to the same college, etc. Even though we were there basically passing because he was on the way in, I was on the way out. But
hey, man.
Yeah, super happy for him. But yeah, let's go Tyson. What a dog. Shout out Shepherd University. Shout out Tyson. Go get another one next week, kid.
Heck yeah, absolutely. Hound, who's your dog of the week?
My dog of the week is Lamar Jackson.
Heck yeah,
his
dude.
team blew out my secret pick for the Super Bowl. The Detroit Lions.
Yeah, your secret, not so secret.
Yeah, secret, not so secret pick. But yeah, Lamar Jackson had himself a day. 4 total touchdowns, 3 through the air, 1 on the ground. Best he's looked all season. People were questioning whether the Ravens were for real or not, and this seems to make the case that they are a big threat to my Kansas City Chiefs to make the Super Bowl. So
yeah.
So I'm a little scared, but also he is a dog, at least for this week. So
yeah.
Yep, Lamar Jackson, balling out.
I think the stat was Lamar is 15-1 against NFC opponents, which tells me if you've never played him before, it's really tough to get to simulate in practice the type of player he is, which that's amazing because obviously not every team gets absolutely destroyed the way that the Lions did against the Ravens this last week. My dog of the week, you guessed it, Mac freaking Jones. Looking that Buffalo Bills defense right in the eyes and said, you know what? It's about time I made my presence known. Went right down the field, hit several receivers to get down, converted on a 3rd and 8 right outside of field goal range, and then drove down the field, and he completed a pass to Pop Douglas right at the end there, but because there was a penalty on the player that was guarding Pop Douglas, we got a clock stoppage. They took the penalty so that the clock would stop. So that's hidden yardage that is really should be accredited to Pop Douglas, which I was tempted to make him dog of the week because he balled out, but he didn't make the throw to Mike Gesicki to win the game. So I've got to give it to my boy Mac Jones. 25 of 30, 272, 83% completion percentage, averaged 9.1 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. A really efficient day for my boy Mac Jones. He keeps playing like that, and Bill O'Brien keeps him playing like that. We're going to be tough to beat, boys. I'm telling you what, that offensive line looked good too. So we'll have to see. But until next week. So congratulations to Mac Jones, Tyson Bagent, and Lamar Jackson for being our No Punt Intended Sportscast Dogs of the Week. And speaking of next week, we have predictions we got to talk about. And we've got some good games. It just feels like this slate of games is for the week that we're going to talk about today. I think it's week 10. It looks like a good time. So we'll start with Hound. Your Kansas City Chiefs will be welcoming the newly injured Miami Dolphins in a couple weeks here. So that should be an offensive slaughter fest, but
yeah,
let's see what you think is going to happen then. Maybe that offensive line gets healthy. I don't know. We'll see. But who do you have winning that game, Mr. Hound?
Yeah, so we'll be playing in Germany, which always throws a wrench in the consistency of picking these games.
For sure.
I'm still going to pick the Chiefs to pull it out. The Dolphins do have a few holes, but I mean, our defense also hasn't had to play or defend against a player like Tyreek Hill, so we'll see how that holds up.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's going to be a pretty highly scoring game. 38-31. Chiefs up on top. I think it'll be one score. Either way. I could see the Chiefs dropping this one, but I think they'll pull it out.
Yeah, and Germany isn't exactly going to be warm when they get there. The Miami Dolphins might have a little bit of issue with that. I like where your head's at on that. The Panthers, who will, according to LB, will be fresh off a loss, a very disheartening loss against the Houston Texans, will be welcoming the Indianapolis Colts and Gardner Minshew to town. So what say you on that one, sir?
Yeah, I'm gonna throw a curveball here. I think Carolina's gonna win this game, guys.
Oh, okay.
I really do. Yeah, I
first win of the season.
Yeah, I think they're gonna get it. I mean, the Colts have been dealing with injuries. The Panthers have as well, but the Panthers are getting some guys back, which should be back in the rotation at the time of that game. On November 5th. So I think the Panthers are going to figure some things out. We're going to make some noise, get our first win. I'm going to go. I'm hesitant to make it a high-scoring game, but the Colts did just put up 38 on arguably the best defense in the league against the Browns. However, they're also giving up a ton of points to the Colts. So despite Carolina's offensive struggles, I think they're going to score well. I think Carolina wins. I'm going 34-31.
Ooh, close game.
Yep.
Man, that'd be rough. The Colts losing 2 games in 3 weeks within 3 points. That's rough. The New England Patriots will be playing the Washington Commanders, which is an interesting matchup for sure. Not a game that happens very often, but a game that we have this year nonetheless. It's funny. Last week I said that the Pats would have this random offensive explosion, and I said explosion as 23 points against Miami, and it came a week early and ended up being explosion enough to beat the Bills. So I actually am taking a loss on my predictions on that one. But it puts me in an interesting situation because I can't, in good conscience, just put an L next to that game just because as a default. You know, Sam Howell is a young guy, and Bill Belichick is notorious for putting young guys in blenders. That defense is legit, and that defensive line especially is legit. But that Patriots offensive line looked the best it's ever looked. And that guy that I've said was going to be a Pro Bowl caliber right guard played right tackle for us like he did in his rookie season. And we have been clamoring for him to play right tackle for years, and they finally put him out there. So our right tackle situation has been rectified as of right now. They put City So instead of Antonio Mafi in at right guard, and that seemed to help as well. City So's a little bit bigger player, a little bit more athletic than Mafi is. And I have the score 24-20, but I don't know who wins and who loses. I think I'm going to give gosh almighty. That defensive line scares me, and I'm sure it'll scare Mac Jones too. So I say they take the L on this one. I think they get up early. They are up like 17-10 at halftime, and then give up the last. Sam Howell does what he did against the Eagles, which is play his butt off and end up almost winning that game. So the Commanders beat the Pats 24-20 in week, I think it's 9, actually. I think I said week 10 before. I think it's week 9. So that's the predictions there. And by the way, our records up to this point is Hound is 6-1. LB is still solidly at 4-2 after the bye. And I am now 4-3 after the Pats beat the Bills. So there we go. And without further ado, we appreciate you listening, everybody. Please like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment on our Instagram or on our videos. Check out the shorts. Check out the 10-minute video we did, which is what the shorts came from. We still want to keep the voting up because we want to see how everybody feels about our particular teams on that. And if without any further rambling, have a good week, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the No Punt Intended Sportscast. Be sure to check out the Thinking Hound and to like, share, and subscribe.